1 Kings 7, 8. Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel, and all the heads of the tribes, the elders of the father's house. Great. Wow. Wow. That's freaking harsh. Oh man, okay. Then Solomon assembled the elders of Israel and all the heads of the tribes, the heads of the leaders of the father's house of the people of Israel, before King Solomon in Jerusalem, to bring up the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of the city of David, which is Zion. And all the men of Israel assembled to King Solomon at the feast in the month Ethanim, which is the 7th month. And all the elders of Israel came, and the priests took up the ark. And they brought up the ark of the Lord, the tent of the meeting, and all the holy vessels that were in the tent. The priests and the Levites brought them up. And King Solomon and all the congregation of Israel who had assembled before him were with him before the ark, sacrificing so many sheep and oxen that they could not be counted or numbered. Then the priest brought the ark of the covenant of the Lord to its place in the inner sanctuary of the house, in the most holy place, underneath the wings of the cherubim. For the cherubim spread out their wings over the place of the ark, so that the cherubim made a covering above the ark and its poles. And the poles were so long that the ends of the poles were seen from the holy place before the inner sanctuary. But they could not be seen from outside, and they are there to this day. There was nothing in the ark except the 2 tables of stone which Moses put there at Horeb, where the Lord made a covenant with the people of Israel when they came out of the land of Egypt. And when the priest came out of the holy place, a cloud filled the house of the Lord, so that the priest could not stand to minister because of the cloud. For the glory of the Lord filled the house of the Lord. Then Solomon said, "The Lord has set the sun in heaven." But he said that he would dwell in thick darkness. I have built thee an exalted house, a place for thee to dwell in forever. Then the king faced about and blessed the assembly of Israel, while all the assembly of Israel stood. And he said, "Blessed be the Lord, the God of Israel, who with his hand was fulfilled what he promised with his mouth to David, my father, saying, Since the day that I brought my people Israel out of Egypt, I chose no city in all the tribes of Israel in which to build a house. House. Oh. That my name might be there, but I chose David to be over my people Israel. Now it was in the heart of David my father to build a house for the name of the Lord, the God of Israel. But the Lord said to David my father, Whereas it was in your heart to build a house for my name, you did well that it was in your heart. Nevertheless, you shall not build the house. But your son, who shall be born to you, shall build the house for my name. This happened to me a lot as I read. It's a big reason why I didn't read the Old Testament and I just stuck to the gospel. There were certain points in the Old Testament that like I said, I could see in my past. That it was horrible. And to be able to see this very moment right here, right now, to look at the two tables, to be in the tomb, to be living the Bible, is an overwhelming experience beyond every effort. It's a glorious beginning. It really is. But it's a deadly ending. It's scary. People aren't going to accept it. People don't want it. Oh, they want to live the world. But I can live the world without judging anybody. Why can't they? Just live life. No bigotry. No strife. No racism. No anger. No whatever. All of them. No sins. No sins whatsoever. Why can't people just do it? Why does it even have to be money? Money is the root of all evils. Why can't we just be friends? Why can't people be good to each other? Trade off skills. Grow food together. Live off the land. Teach our children how to do that, how to be sustainable living. But the Lord said to David, my father, whereas it was in your heart to build a house for my name, you did well that it was in your heart. Nevertheless, you shall not build the house, but your son who shall be born. I can't see it. Born to you shall build the house for my name. Now the Lord has fulfilled his promise which he made. For I have risen in the place of David my father, and sit on the throne of my father, and I sit on the throne of Israel, as the Lord promised, and I have built the house for the name of the Lord, the God of Israel, and there I have provided a place for the ark, which is the covenant of the Lord, which he made with our fathers when he brought them out of the land of Egypt. Then Solomon stood before the altar of the Lord in the presence of all the assembly of Israel, and spread forth his hands towards heaven, and said, O Lord God of Israel, there is no God like thee in heaven above or on earth beneath, keeping covenant and showing steadfast love to thy servant who walked before thee with all their heart, who hast kept with thy servant David my father what thou didst declare to him. Yea, thou didst speak thy mouth, and with thy hand hast fulfilled it this day. Now therefore, O Lord God of Israel, keep with thy servant David my father what thou hast promised him, saying, there shall never fail you a man before me to sit upon the throne of Israel, if only your sons take heed to their way, to walk before me as you walk before me. To walk before me as you walk before me. Oh, thank you, Father. Now therefore, O God of Israel, let thy word be confirmed, which thou hast spoken to thy servant David my father. But will God indeed dwell on the earth? Behold, heaven and the highest heaven cannot contain thee. How much less this house which I have built? How much more? How much less this house which I have built, yet regard to the prayer of thy servant and to his supplication. O Lord my God, hearkening to the cry and to the prayer which thy servant prays before thee this day, that thy eyes may be open night and day toward this house, the place of which thou hast said, my name shall be there, that thou mayest hearken to the prayer which thy servant offers toward this place, and hearken thou to the supplication of thy servant and of thy people Israel, when they pray toward this place. Hear thou in heaven thy dwelling place, and when thou hearest, forgive. If a man sins against his neighbor and is made to take an oath, and comes and swears his oath before thine altar in this house, then hear thou in heaven, and act, and judge thy servants, condemning the guilty by bringing his conduct upon his own head, and vindicating the righteous by rewarding him according to his righteousness. When thy people, Israel, are defeated before the enemy because they have sinned against thee, if they turn again to thee, and acknowledge thy name, and pray, and make supplication to thee in this house, then hear thou in heaven, and forgive the sin of thy people Israel, and bring them again to the land which thou gavest to their fathers. When heaven is shut up, and there is no rain, because they have sinned against thee, if they pray toward this place, and acknowledge thy name, and turn from their sin, when thou dost afflict them, then hear thou in heaven, and forgive the sin of thy servants, thy people Israel. When thou dost teach them the good way in which they should walk, and grant rain upon thy land, which thou hast given to thy people as an inheritance. Thanks, Pop. If there is famine in the land, if there is pestilence or blight, or mildew, or locust, or caterpillar, if their enemy besieges them in any of their cities, whatever plague, whatever sickness there is, whatever prayer, whatever supplication is made by any man or by all thy people Israel, each knowing the affliction of his own heart, and stretching out his hands towards this house, then hear thou in heaven thy dwelling place, and forgive, and act, and render to each whose heart thou knowest according to all his ways. For thou only, knowest the hearts of all the children of men, that they may fear thee all the days that to live in the land which thou gavest to our fathers. Oh snap, I lost you. I know I lost you. Uh-oh. There goes my headphones too. I want to fix it, but I think she fell asleep because I think she was liking it. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. I'm sorry. Yeah, phone charger's upstairs. Am I really reading from the Devil's Bible? Is that what this is? I found this Bible last night in the trash can. She took me trash picking, which is cool. She's got a system to it. And you know, some of you guys throw away some good stuff. You don't throw away a Bible. I don't care. I don't care. What you do. But I think that they know because they see people going around. They got their select people I mean, come on, they clean up. And they are able to survive and raise their children off of the treasures in the trash that you deem fit. I was able to read this Bible in that context to you. Thank you, Walter Kenyon, for the Revised Standard Version, Collins. If you want to follow along, I'm in 1 Kings 8. We're going to read this. I don't want you to get freaked out. At moments, I'm going to... Well, you saw it happen already. You made it this far. Oh, my heart. Oh, my heart. Oh, my heart. Back and forth. Son of Man is back and forth. Now, I just had a wonderful conversation with Darlene, and I believe I understand her thing, and I have to choose between technically 3, but only 2. The easiest, ultimate, most easiest thing is if she ever took me back, it would be my ex-wife. But she wouldn't. She's pissed off about all this stuff she sees. She's like, whatever. Unless she's like, seeing me for who I was and she realizes she messed up. That's on her. But that's like, to me, she's back on the... She's far on the back. She's on that table. She's over there. You go to the kiddie table. You do your thing. The other end of the spectrum, I got 2 very closely related relationships. She's got a dog that's about my age in my dating relationship with Jessica. Jessica just got a dog in replacement of me. Excuse me, sorry. Jessica, the world, I want to go for the world. I want that 50%. Jesus has to go get that 50%. She gotta go get it. She doesn't want to be with me, but I'm not gonna message her. And Liz, I know she watches. I know you watch. And I do miss her. And I tried to push another relationship on just to try to, for one, protect myself. It had to be a subliminal thing. I didn't even realize it until just now. But Jess and I were tainted from the beginning. Tainted from the beginning. Turn the devil phone back on. Anyways. Oh, where was I? My heart. It's being torn in so many different directions. Everything inside of it. That unconditional love. She's unconditional love, though. She's like waiting on that bus. She's waiting at the bus stop. We're waiting for the thing. Washington Street's right over there. Beverly. Go to Beverly. All signs point to yes for my darling. But God said, the world is his bridegroom. And a Jessica of the sea, who is of the anchor. Oh, but the farm and the rain, and I see my natives, and I think of history, and I think of I see my Abigail atoms, and I see the best of both worlds. And I'm just a confused son. It's the best of both worlds. I need your help. I'm asking you, this is my way of coming after for governor. Help me in my relationships. So that way there I have a good woman that can handle accords and accounts. While I dedicate myself to you, and I can come home and I can love on my woman. I can give her a family, I can give her a baby, I can give her a life everlasting. Or I could raise dogs, raise kids, and foster a nation. We could build homes, sober homes, and all these other big things. We could build entities, and we could have that unconditional love without having to worry about the strife of financial gain. Because we know that we have the avenues and the resources and the people around us, because we are the advocates. Because I'm going back to work. I already know. I feel it in my bones. My chief is right there waiting for me. He's right there waiting for me, and he's a fair man, and he's we all make mistakes, and we adapt and overcome. We get up and we handle ourselves. And that's what we're going to read further on in. I just had to, amp you up a bit. The king and all of Israel, with him, offered sacrifice before the Lord. Solomon offered as peace offerings to the Lord 22,000 oxen and 120,000 sheep. I should take a highlighter so I can keep track of my accounts, because I need to know how much, where are they at. So the king and all the people of Israel dedicated the house of the Lord. The same day the king consecrated the middle of the court that was before the house of the Lord, for there he offered the burnt offerings of the cereal offering and the fat pieces of the peace offerings, because the bronze altar that was before the Lord was too small to receive the burnt offerings and the cereal offerings and the fat pieces of the peace offerings. So Solomon held the feast at that time, and all and all Israel with him, a great assembly from the entrance of Hamath to the brook of Egypt, before the Lord our God 7 days. On the 8th day he sent the people away, and they blessed the king and went to their homes joyful and glad of heart for all the goodness that the Lord had shown to David his servant and to Israel his people. I've been kind of rude to David, although I gave him goodness, lots of goodness, but he's been playing rude to me. So I said, I'm going to go somewhere else. You want goodness? Show me your goodness. My trucks still don't run. I'm stuck here. I'm stuck on this island of Patmos, bro. You got me in the desert, and I'm legless. That's my angel. That's my foot dash of stone. Get my Dodge going. I need a new car. I might as well trade that in. Nah, that's a work truck. Make some money. So I can't decide which direction I want to go. I can do many things. I can do whatever I want to. Whatever I want to. Whatever you want me to. When Solomon had finished building the house of the Lord, the king's house, and all that Solomon desired to build, the Lord appeared to Solomon a second time, as he had appeared to him in Gibeon. And the Lord said to him, I have heard your prayer and your supplication, which you have made before me. I have consecrated this house which you have built, and put my name there forever. My eyes and my heart will be there for all time. And as for you, if you will walk before me as David your father walked, with integrity of heart and uprightness, doing according to all that I have commanded you, and keeping my statutes, my ordinances, then I will establish your royal throne over Israel forever. as I promised David your father, saying, There shall not fail you a man upon the throne of Israel. But if you turn aside from following me, you or your children, and do not keep my commandments and my statutes, which I have set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them, then I will cut off Israel from the land which I had given them, and the house which I have consecrated for my name I will cast out of my sight, and Israel will become a proverb and a byword among all the peoples. And this house will become a heap of ruins. Everyone passing by it will be astonished and will hiss. And they will say, Why has the Lord done thus to this land and to this house? Then they will say, Because they forsook the Lord their God, who brought their fathers out of the land of Egypt, and laid hold on other gods, and worshipped them and served them. Therefore the Lord has brought all this evil upon them. At the end of the 20 years in which Solomon had built the two houses, the house of the Lord and the king's house, and Hiram, king of Tyre, had supplied Solomon with cedar and cypress timber and gold, as much as he desired. King Solomon